Update. Am I the a-hole for digging into my brother's girlfriend's past and telling him the results? Original post. My younger brother Adam had a rough childhood, to say the least. Our father passed away when he was under 10 from cancer. Our mother is likely bipolar, but definitely has narcissistic tendencies and was abusive. I'm older by a decade and did what I could when I could for him. But basically, I failed to protect him and didn't understand what he needed. All that to say, his descent into alcoholism wasn't a surprise. It was expected. A couple of years ago, he had an incident that caused him to be hospitalized and began his recovery and sobriety. He's over 2 years clean now, largely due to the new relationship he started months after his incident with a kind-hearted, lovely woman. I'll call her Eve. He brought Eve over to meet us shortly after they met, and she's been a welcome part of our family. She makes gifts for my kids and treats. She's always fun to talk to, and her quirkiness fits in beautifully. As we got to know her, we learned how traumatic her life has been. They're kind of trauma bonded, but she's so understanding and empathetic. She told us about her twin who passed away in high school, how her siblings and parents loved him more, and how they treated her badly as the surviving child who was always less than. She also had another brother who passed away in the war in Iraq, who became the golden child after her twin died. She couldn't seem to gain her mother's approval or attention, and we bonded over those feelings of not being wanted or good enough. She told us she was originally from Scotland. Her father was a sheep farmer who moved to America to buy a cattle farm because of cowboy movies, so she had dual citizenship. She also said because of this, she spoke 16 languages. She worked at a college and had multiple degrees too. Overall, she was incredibly nice, took good care of Adam, and seemed very well educated and proper. Sometimes she had her Scottish accent too, because she'd been around her family. Then she started telling us about her past relationships. 3 divorces. One was from a person who had gender reassignment surgery, another passed away by his own hand, and the last had attempted to take her life, shot her, and then ran from the cops into a ditch where he passed away. She even showed my kids the scar. After 2 years of knowing her, I felt like she was a great fit. So last week when they had a bad argument, I tried to reassure Adam. I had him come over to talk, and he told me that she had lied to him about not speaking to a friend of hers anymore. Some guy who was apparently a popular guy in high school. She lied because she didn't want to believe he wasn't a good guy, since she's had so much bad luck with men. Adam was struggling to move past the lying but wanted to work it out, and I supported him in whatever he chose. I talked to my husband about it, and he asked the most basic question. How does she have a popular high school friend here in town if she was raised in Oklahoma on a cattle farm? Honestly, I have PTSD, so my brain sometimes gets mixed up. I assumed I was wrong, but it kept turning over and over in my head for days. I finally caved while my husband was playing video games and began casually searching into her. I googled her name, and her address came up. Then I realized her history of addresses was all in America, going back pretty far. So I checked her parents, and their addresses went back in America to before she was born. I was so confused, so I googled them and found recent obituaries of her grandparents on both sides. They're all from America, and they only ever mention 3 kids by her parents. Obituaries usually list preceded in death, and these do, but no grandkids are in that list. No additional brothers of hers. Not only that, but she lived at the same address her whole life in Kansas. I looked it up on a map, found the nearby high school, and searched the yearbook. Found her in 12th grade, no twin. Okay, maybe he passed away earlier, so I checked 9th grade. Still no twin. The deeper I dug, the more proof of the lies I found. Only 2 marriages are on record, both spouses still alive. One did change from male in the marriage to female in the divorce, but that seems to be the only true thing she's ever said. It's absolutely shocking. Finally, my husband said I had to tell Adam. I was against it, but as the pile of lies got larger, I said it should be an in-person conversation. He insisted it needed to be done, so I put it all together in a document and messaged Adam. I asked a few clarifying questions about the twin and the ex-husbands. I apologized, provided the information to him, and hoped I was wrong. Within 10 minutes of sending it to him, he said she admitted everything. He's absolutely lost now. 2 whole years. So many lies. I'm just baffled. Why, if they ever got married, it would have unraveled so quickly. As it stands, she's been able to keep him away from her family by allowing them to disrespect their age gap. He's noticeably younger than her. She refused to go to an uncle's funeral earlier this year because she claimed he was a predator. I hate questioning that, but maybe she just didn't want Adam to find out that her uncle was born and raised in Kansas, not Scotland, and so was her dad. She was here with my kids, having them feel the bullet wound scar from an incident that never happened. There are no criminal records for either of the exes. None for her either, thankfully, but good Lord. I wish I could put the cat back in the bag on this one. Why lie? And why didn't I check her background sooner? I literally checked my kids' date in high school to make sure their parents aren't on a registry or anything. I should have checked her much sooner. Now the life and family they were building is in ruins, and I'm terrified of him losing his sobriety. I'm feeling really guilty for looking it up and telling him to. I'm not sure I did the right thing, because he's heartbroken. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. She told us she was originally from Scotland. Her father was a sheep farmer who moved to America to buy a cattle farm because of the cowboy movies, so she has dual citizenship. She also said because of this, she spoke 16 languages. Not being funny, but how does having dual citizenship with the UK bestow upon her 16 languages? Did they plug her into the Matrix? She worked at a college and had multiple degrees too. Please be less gullible going forward. Life is full of bullshitters, but the beauty of them is they're easy to spot because they always go too far. 16 languages, multiple degrees that haven't turned into anything, 3 divorces? Who has the time? Well, her degrees did turn into something. She worked at a college at the time, and when that job ended, she started working as an engineer. If you work at a college, they let you take classes free or reduced. She probably has some of the degrees, and she could have taken the language classes. There are people famous here for learning lots of languages, and she called herself a polyglot. I have a friend who is learning Japanese with a tutor, and she talked about different tutors she'd used and programs too. It seemed legit, but obviously everything she said did, and it was all lies. She's old enough to have been divorced 3 times as well. It seemed like tragically bad luck or poor judgment, but being raised by a narcissist with a traumatic childhood made me give her grace and assume she was targeted for being too nice. I really want to argue that I'm not gullible, but I have to explain this to my oldest kid when they get back from a trip next week, and the only explanation is that I was incredibly gullible. My oldest kid is also super fond of this woman, and I know it's going to hurt. You didn't get sus when she said she spoke 16 languages? No, because she actually spoke something when asked to speak each language by my kids. I only know English, enough Spanish to ask where the bathroom and library are, and some sign language from when I was a kid. So super rusty, think alphabet, every cuss word, and thank you, basically. There are people who speak lots of languages, and again, she worked at a college where she claimed to have gotten multiple degrees. So she could have taken language classes there. It didn't come off as lies or exaggeration. I'm generally very skeptical of everyone, but she's older than me and had worked there for many years. So it didn't seem like a stretch if she's got no kids and has had 25+ years to do anything she wanted with her life. I had an acquaintance like this. He claimed he was both a Navy SEAL and a Green Beret. Also was part of a Burmese military unit. He is white as milk and was never in the military, and claimed to be adopted by both Native Americans and a Japanese ninja family. Oh, and how many serious injuries he survived, and how much secret medical knowledge he claimed to have. And he knew the ways of every culture somehow, and his dogs weren't dogs, but wolves. They were dogs. And yes, the languages. After a while, it became unclear whether he could even tell he was lying or keep his lies straight. It's really sad. He seemed so desperate to be thought of as amazing that he pushed everyone away with his lies, and he is now an old man living a lonely life. Now for the update. To catch up, my brother's girlfriend of 2 years was lying about her past, from the traumatic passing of a made-up twin, made-up older brother, 2 ex-husbands, who are still very much alive, a made-up ex-fiancé, and a made-up loss of a child, a made-up assault during their relationship that she used to control him, to inventing multiple degrees and speaking 16 languages. When I posted, I had uncovered some of the lies and forwarded him the proof. She came clean immediately and took him to visit her parents to explain it. She apparently has untreated borderline personality disorder. My brother, who I called Adam for this, is a recovering alcoholic with a huge heart. He was absolutely determined to stay with her and not toss her aside for being human. He thought this was the righteous and noble thing to do, to not discard someone who is struggling or damaged in their time of need. My husband and I were determined to support him regardless of his choice because we love him. She told him she could never be around us again and that she was scared of us. We assured him we would never be rude to anyone he dated and that we were more than capable of being around her. I genuinely think when she realized we weren't going to let her isolate him by pretending she had a reason to fear us, it was over for her. It lasted only a week after our dinner with him, where we showed him unconditional support and reminded him that he was the victim, repeatedly. The following week, she went out with friends to a bar. He asked where she went and with whom, since this whole thing started because she was lying about not hanging out with some jerk who didn't respect my brother or their relationship. She said she didn't have to show Adam anything to prove where she had been and that she can't heal like this. She expected to play the victim to him, as if him asking for accountability and transparency was controlling. Then he said he couldn't be in a relationship where he couldn't trust someone. She was clearly hiding who she was with and where she was. In response, she gave him 30 days to move out. So this weekend we are moving him into his own place. He's of course still reeling from the whiplash of whatever the heck the last 2 years of lies have been, with a woman he thought he would marry. He has a strong support system though, and he's absolutely going to get through this. He's even quitting smoking during this, which I could not imagine trying to do in this level of chaos, but he is determined. Thank you everyone for the advice and support. Please don't be gullible like we were, and if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Just in case you didn't know, you freaking rock. The way you are your brother's keeper and have his back 100% is great. She knew she wasn't going to be able to keep playing him with you in his corner, and that's why her butt had to go. Congratulations on getting this dirtbag. See you next Tuesday out of your brother's life. Thank you for saying this. I felt like such an a-hole for snooping, and even more so when it started to unravel her lies. He is genuinely heartbroken, and he didn't deserve this, so I am working hard to make sure he has everything he needs for this move and doesn't have to stress as much. I'm really glad he is taking it as well as he is, and that he doesn't seem to hate me for it. Sometimes delivering the bad news makes you part of the problem because people can't separate the hurt. I just want him to be okay. I believe he's going to be okay, but it had to be something in him to listen to you. And also this probably isn't the first time you've had his back, even as kids. Ugh, BPD is a nightmare. Nothing but lies and manipulation. Ask me how I know. I'm a little scared to ask LOL. This was my first official encounter with it, and it's been nightmare fuel, even though I wasn't the actual target of it. I was married to a woman for 12 years who had it, and for most of the marriage, I had no clue what I was dealing with. Once I started reading about BPD, I knew what I had on my hands, and why life had been insane pretty much since the beginning. The borderline in BPD stands for borderline psychopath. They are wired wrong and are literally incapable of getting better unless they want to and work a lot at it. In about 2 years, get back in touch with her to find out what these events have turned into in her stories. You might have become the one who shot her, or maybe your kids are actually hers and you stole them. So many possibilities. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my daughter out for a nice dinner and leaving everyone else to fend for themselves? My daughter, 16 female, and I, 43 female, love eating at authentic Asian restaurants. We had to pick my son, 12, up at a Korean barbecue about 40 minutes from our house. It was a party with another family. I suggested to my husband, 44 male, of 25 years that he and the 2 other kids could have whatever they wanted for dinner, and my daughter and I would get Korean barbecue at this restaurant. He said no, we should all go as a family. I reminded him that he and the other kids aren't big fans of Korean barbecue and that it would be cheaper to eat separately. He insisted on everyone going. When we got to the restaurant and he saw the menu, he complained that he didn't know what to order and complained about the price. The other kids followed suit. I suggested they go eat at another restaurant in the plaza, and my daughter and I would get the Korean food. It smelled so amazing, by the way. We waited 20 minutes for a table, and he continued to make comments about the price. He even told me, "You better not order anything fancy." That was the last straw. I got up and went to the van. Everyone followed. I said I was taking everyone home, and my daughter and I would go on our own to a local Korean barbecue. We did exactly that. Everyone else had McDonald's and played Roblox. When we got home, he was fuming, saying that I owed everyone an apology. I refused. I said I had zero remorse. It seemed like everyone was happy but him, and I went to bed. I slept perfectly fine. He's still mad. So, am I the a-hole for taking my daughter out for dinner and leaving everyone else to do their own thing? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You told him what your plan was, and he and you both knew he and the other kids didn't like Korean barbecue. There is nothing wrong with doing things separately occasionally. Yes, this. Totally feel this. Sometimes you just gotta let the picky eaters fend for themselves and enjoy the good food in peace. My stomach agrees with you 100% LOL. It was more than them being picky eaters. He insisted on going somewhere he knew he didn't like, then made everyone miserable by complaining about it. OP, is he a joy vampire like this about other things? Does he deliberately make everyone else unhappy if he doesn't get his way? Because if this is a pattern with him, it might be time for you to seek some counseling. Not the a-hole, but geez, your husband really is one. Of course not. Your daughter is happy. All the kids are good. There's just one whiny person. Honestly, your husband sounds like a douchebag.